Hello everyone, thanks for watching this video. So in this video, today we are going to understand how to create the singly linked list in Java. Okay, so before that we should understand that what is the singly linked list. Okay, what is the basic criteria for the singly linked list. Okay, then we will move further to create the same singly linked list following all the rule that has to follow by the singly linked list in Java. Okay, so this is the first program of the playlist DS Java SLL. Okay, means singly linked list. Okay, so yeah, so before that just we are going to understand what is the singly linked list. Okay, the basic theory of the singly linked list. So if you are able to see this screen, okay, here we have created one singly linked list. Okay, so where we have the first node where the data is 10, okay, followed by the second node where we have data 20, and followed by the third node where we have data 30, and same as the last node where data we have as a 50. Okay, so now question is that in the singly linked list, means in linked list, the each and every node is divided into the two part. Okay, whereas first part is considered as a data which is visible, and the second part which is the address of the next node. Okay, or we can say it's a reference of the next node, and that reference you have to enable. Until unless you won't enable, the two nodes won't get attached. Okay, so in this pictorial representation, if you see, we have total 5 nodes and all the nodes is interconnected with each other. Okay, so if you see the first node which has the data 10, this is called data, where the second node is the value of next is nothing but is the address of the next node. Okay, so the question is, if you create this linked list in Java, okay, and if you trying to get the address of this, so this will get changed with the each and every execution, or this will be changed with each and every OS, different with OS and the different with system also. Okay, so we are not basically working on the address of the things. Okay, we are only working on the data area. Okay, and the address is, since it is getting changed dynamically, so we are not basically focusing on the address, but address is the mandatory to make a connection between the two nodes, that we will discuss more about later also, but this is the basic idea. Okay, so whereas the first node is called as a head. Okay, and for each and every node, the data first area is called data, whereas second part is called next. For the second node also, data is 20 and next means address is something which is same as the third node, means second node contain the address of third node, whereas third node contain the address of the fourth node, whereas fourth node contain the address of the fifth node. Likewise this chain will go, and at the end, so the last node, there should be something called last, right? So for the last node, if we are not attaching, since it's last node, so means that there is no node after that, that's why it become last node, right? So for the last node, address will be null. Okay, so first check if you are getting address as a null. Okay, for any of the node, means you need to understand this is the last node. Okay, concept number 1. Concept number 2, the first node is always called as a head node, just for our reference. Okay, whereas in the this is second concept, and third concept is, for each and every node we have the two partition. First partition means first area, first part is called data, whereas second part is called address of the second node, which also we are calling as a next. Next means just attaching. Okay, so this is the basic representation of singly linked list. Okay, yeah. So for now we are going to start step by step. So first, for now we are going to create one node, okay, where we are going to insert only one data, okay, and that one node is also we are calling as a head. So for this one, this is head, okay, since it has only one node, okay. So this we are going to represent in Java, how to create the singly linked list, and whereas we are loading only one data, okay. So we have our public class ready, which is called singly linked list, okay. So here we are going to create one private class, okay. So private static, for now only class, let's have class. Static we will see why to write, okay. Class list node, okay, good. So we created, let me write some comment here. So we created one inner class, okay. So this is inner class, okay, which represent the singly linked list, okay. Okay, so this class is basically going to represent the singly linked list, and which is inner class, okay, good. Now in this class we are going to have two member, okay, which is again as a private type. I will tell you why private type. So first class, as we already understand into the theory part, for each and every node we have two parts. First part is called data, whereas second part is the address of the next node, which is also called as a next, okay. So int, so first part, since this is the linked list, so it should have two parts. First part is data, okay, and where second part is next, okay. So now question is, what is the next, okay. Okay, good. So next is nothing but next is the reference of the same node, okay. See, if you going to see this image, okay, you have list of node, 1 node, 2 node, 3 node, 4 node, 5 node, okay. So this I am understanding as a one node, and I want to attach this node into the another succeeding node. So if I will create the instance of this node, and using that if I am able to attach, okay, so we are able to create the singly linked list. That is the reason. So if you comment this one, okay, still this is a linked list, only we are missing is the address of this one. So we can write something like that also, okay. We can write, okay, we can write the next, okay. Now question is, if you declare two variable, first variable is data and the second variable is the next, okay, good. Till now we don't have any problem, okay, for one node. But since we are going to attach this node into this node, so how we are going to attach? We don't have any reference of the second node. So second node is also same as the same node only until we have the data and address changes, okay. So first node, second node, if you put 10 here also, 10 here also, still we can say both the nodes are different. The reason is the address available in this area and address available in this area will differ, should be differ, okay. So that's the reason for attaching to doing the connection between two nodes, we are again repeatedly creating the instance of the same class. Got it, right? Okay. So let me write some comment here. So basically it has two private member, private member. One is data, and the another one is address of the next node, which is also called here as a next, and this also called as a data. Okay, that is data. Okay, good. So we created one linked list class, we created one node, inside the node we have defined the two members. One member is the data, which is the first part of the each and every node, and the second node and the second variable, which is address of the next node, which is again the node only. Okay, now first question is why this class is private. The reason is, see, we are creating the linked list, which is the internal implementation, right? If you put this one as a public, okay, the first question is public. Okay, the first question is to class, this someone can access from outside of the package or outside of the application, since we know public class is accessible from everywhere. So what we will do is we will access this class, we will create our own method, and we will insert our own data. So in that way we will miss the security of our linked list that we already created. Suppose that we created one linked list where we insert the data as a 10. Some other guy create the instance of the same linked list and they inserted data as a 20. So our logic, our entire logic, it depends upon the data 10. Since another user already inserted the 20, so our logic will be getting fail at the some condition. That's the reason we are creating this as a private class. Okay, first. Second thing is why data is also private. Obviously for the security reasons, so outsider people cannot access or they cannot change my value whatever I am trying to do. Okay, now we created one class, we defined two variables, one is the data and one is the next, which is again the node called reference of the next node, reference of the, and one more thing you understand that reference means the, see, if we are creating a string str, means in the Java language we are also saying that str is the reference of string type, okay, or string class. So that's the reason we just created the one reference of the same class, namely next. Okay, good. Now we created everything, we need to initialize, and for initialization we know that we are going to use the constructor. Okay, so constructor will be always public for this one, since I need to create the from anywhere list node. So this is the constructor where I am going to pass argument as a data. Okay, I will tell you why data we are going to pass. This dot data equal to data. So we are going to initialize the data that we received from the user. Okay, this is the parameter constructor, not default constructor. Okay, second argument what I am going to tell is this dot next, means the reference of the this dot next equal to null. The reason is by default, if you see this first one, okay, so by default address of each and every node will be null only unless we have to attach that. Okay, if you see here we just make a connection from first node to second node. That's the reason we have some reference here, some next data here, but if you see last, right, we don't have anything, it's null. So for that's the reason by default we are assigning this reference as a null. So that's the reason once we are going to do the attachment, or once we are going to do the link between two nodes, there we will pass this value. So by default this value will be null. So let's have here comment. It has one public constructor which represent which is responsible to initialize the node. We can say node also, we can say data also, and the address of the next node. Okay, this is the first thing. Now second thing is, since by default the address of the next node is null. Okay, that's the reason we are initializing here as a null. So from user, okay, so from user we are going to receive the only data, and the address is getting created by default by JVM. Okay, we are not worrying to create the address, we are only worrying to pass the data and link the data. Okay, so till now what we did, we created the list node class, okay, which is the inner class, which has the two variables. First variable is the data, second variable is the reference of the next node. Okay, we created one constructor for initialization purpose. Only twist here is we initialize that this data what we are receiving from the user, but only twist here is the by default the value of the address is null. So we have to initialize the address or next reference as a null. So we are good now. Okay, so we created till here. Now our responsibility is to have main method. Okay, in that main method we are going to create the instance of this one. Okay, now question is node equal to new list node. Okay, here I am going to pass data as a 10. Okay, now if you see here one error coming. Why this error coming is not accessible actually. The reason is this method is a static method. Okay, and this class is not a static, which is private also. So to access this class we have to make this as a static, static. If you see, now error gone. That's the reason we are creating an inner class which is the private type, having static, okay, and having two data, where first is called data, where the second is called the reference of the next node, and we should have one constructor for initialization purpose. Now we are done with the creating the linked list. So this is the only code to create the linked list. Now our main thing is to how to link the two node. Here we are not going to link, since we are responsible to create only one node. As per this PPT, if you see, we are going to create the only one node, which is the node is called head, but the first part is called data and second part is called next. If you see, we inserted the data, but we haven't did anything for the next, since we know by default the next value is the null that we already initialized here. Okay, so we are done now. Okay, for displaying the linked list, we will be having different program, so we will be proceeding one by one. Okay, I know with this program we won't be able to get any output, but if you follow the program number from 1 to 3 4 5, you will be able to understand slowly and conceptual way. Okay, yeah, thanks for watching this video.